Hey everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at the Capture Carry On suitcase from Level 8. And nowadays there's so many great roller bag options coming onto the market. Companies like Away, Monos, Nomadic, Air have come out with some really interesting bags. Level 8 has a lot of great roller bags in the hard shell category, but back in the day, I actually used to travel a lot with a soft-sided suitcase like the one that I have here and found that it had some interesting benefits compared to the hard shell rollers. And so I was excited to have a chance to get hands-on with this. I've been using it for the past couple of weeks, and in this video I'm going to be talking about what it's been like to test it. I'll show you how I've loaded it out, talk through all the features, I'll talk about how it kind of differs from the roller bags that are hard shell, and I'll also talk about how it compares to some of the other similar bags that are currently on the market. Before jumping into the video, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Danny, and on this channel we love reviewing popular travel and everyday carry gear. If you like these types of videos and you'd be interested in seeing more, please consider subscribing as it helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. Starting off with the overall aesthetic, the appearance here feels pretty similar to many of the other soft-sided rollers that I've seen on the market or that I've had a chance to test out. So it's got more of a traditional suitcase style appearance. It's got more pockets. It doesn't feel quite as sleek or modern as some of the hard shell rollers that are really popular these days, but to me that still works fairly well. Suitcase in general is something that I look at as a functional item. This is still going to get the job done for pretty much any sort of travel that I'm going to do. It's not going to stand out too much, even if it's more for business travel. I think that the appearance works well. And as far as the materials, this feels very solidly built. This exterior fabric is a 1680D nylon, so it feels like it's going to hold up very well to rougher usage. I've had many bags that use this type of fabric and I haven't had any issues. One thing to note about this is that I would have expected a soft-sided roller to be maybe a little bit lighter than a hard shell. I was surprised that this one still came in at around 8 pounds, maybe a little bit more. So that's something that you always have to contend with when you're using a roller bag compared to a backpack. That's a trade-off that I'm willing to make, but just something to kind of keep in mind as you're comparing this with a hard shell roller. And then you also have some smooth working and reliable YKK zippers all throughout. One thing to call out about some of the zippers that the bag has is that they have this sort of silver or chrome accenting on the zippers themselves and the zipper pulls, which stand out a little bit more than what I would typically like. I kind of would have preferred just all blacked out zippers all throughout. So, your mileage may vary with this depending on your preferences. I suppose that it makes it a little bit easier to find the quick access pockets that we'll take a closer look at later in the videos. But, I prefer a more subdued aesthetic, and if, you have black zippers in other areas of the bag, I would have just preferred for that to match. Beyond that, you have the Level 8 logo on the front, which is fairly prominent, but, I think that, again, that seems common among many of this style of luggage. On the side and at the top, you have a really nice carrying handle. So this is kind of wrapped in this leather-like material that feels very comfortable, premium. The handles feel well reinforced. And this one at the top kind of retracts back into itself, so it's not sticking out when you're not using it. On the side, this one doesn't retract quite as much, but it does give you a nice bit of space, and it comes out a little bit to make it easier to grab it. Same sort of material here, the Level 8 logo, so these feel great. This is going to be very helpful for loading this into an overhead storage compartment. You also have an additional rugged handle at the bottom. It's kind of a polycarbonate or kind of hard plastic handle here, just a good grip point so that you can pull this out if you happen to place it into a trunk in this direction, or so that you have 2 leverage points if you're picking it up horizontally, as I tend to do with this type of bag when I'm in a hotel room. And then as far as the wheels, which is of course one of the most important points with a luggage like this, Level 8 always does a good job here of including very high quality wheels. They work reliably, smoothly in all directions. I can roll this bag around, I haven't had any issues at all, and they make pretty much no noise, which is absolutely fantastic. So Level 8 continuing to deliver an awesome experience here with any of their luggage, regardless of the surface. At the airport, sometimes you have carpeting and, just kind of a lot of bumps and stuff, and these wheels do a great job. I like that these don't stick out too much from the bottom of the bag. Sometimes suitcases can have pretty tall wheels, which end up adding to the height unnecessarily, so these do a pretty good job of balancing that out here. And then at the top, you have the telescoping handle, so a couple of different heights that you can set this at. works very reliably. Level 8, as I've mentioned in some of their other videos, they do a great job here. These feel very durable, they work reliably, they lock in securely, and so it's been great to use. The last thing I'll mention while we're talking about the exterior is that on the back of the bag you have these nice padded sort of feet here that will help keep the back of the bag protected when you're placing it down to pack it out or unload it. And as far as the capacity, the bag is going to come in at about 40 liters when it's not expanded. That's the standard size, and that feels similar to some of the other carry-on friendly luggages that I've tested out. That's the size that I feel comfortable taking onto a lot of different domestic and international airlines. I haven't had any issues placing this into an overhead storage compartment when it's kind of at this depth. Now with the soft-sided roller, you can really start to add a lot of stuff in here and it'll start to expand outwardly. Even if you don't use the built-in expansion, which will take it to about 46 liters, you know, it looks fairly bulky because it doesn't have that fixed shape. And that's part of the benefits that I see with this material, as we'll see when we get into the main area. But you know, just something to keep in mind. But you do have a little bit of additional flexibility, so for a tighter space you can also press it down, so that, you know, feature kind of goes both ways. And you know, the sizing is able to hold more than enough for me for a couple of weeks of travel, especially if I expand it out, if I happen to get some souvenirs when I'm traveling, or if I just need a little bit of extra space, particularly for a road trip or anything like that where I'm not being quite as diligent with the space, then that's helpful to have. Jumping into the organizational options, the Capture Carry On has a couple of quick access pockets on the exterior. You have this zippered pocket on the front that's going to offer a nice amount of space for something like a tablet or a notebook. I have my iPad mini in here. I think this might not be tall enough for a full-size 10 or 11-inch tablet, as it doesn't go all the way down to the bottom. This is about the point where it stops, but still nice amount of space. This would be the type of pocket where I would toss in some of the items that I'm carrying with me while going through TSA so that I could reach them quickly. And then at the top you have another similar zippered quick access pocket that is about the same depth. This one, since it's between a couple of different areas, if the main compartment is packed out, it'll start to feel a little bit tight, so I wouldn't put anything too sensitive in here, but still enough space for, again, something like your phone, a thinner mouse, a pair of wired headphones, some of your documentation, things you're trying to reach that aren't super big. And then you have a larger compartment that actually has not only built-in organization, but an area to place your laptop. And so here on the front of this lid, you have a slip pocket that, again, place for a tablet, place for documentation, a book that you might be reading while you're traveling. You have a lanyard with a clip that's going to be a good spot for your keys so that you don't lose them. And then you have a couple of slip pockets that have a good amount of space, so it'll be great for something like a power bank or a laptop charger, something a little bit taller. And if not, this does go down to the bottom. And on the other side of this section, which has the gusset, so it doesn't open fully flat, so you can actually use this as almost like a workstation if you are, you know, just placing this next to you while you're sitting down near the gate or in one of the lounges. You have everything close at hand. You can reach down and don't have to worry about it spilling out. And then of course you have the laptop section. On the back, it's got kind of a padded sleeve that also has a soft lining, so it'll help keep your device protected while you're on the go. One thing about having the laptop compartment here, and this being a soft-sided suitcase, is you can see that because the main area is packed out, it starts to kind of bulge up. And so that will maybe start to put pressure on your device. So that's something that you want to be mindful of. The sleeve itself, though, does offer a nice amount of padding, and that soft lining feels like it's going to help prevent against scratching. This should be able to hold up to a 13 or 14-inch laptop comfortably, and that will start to vary depending on how loaded out the main area is. I'm not generally a huge fan of these laptop sleeves on any of the suitcases that I've tested out because of that reason. It just always feels a little tighter than I'm comfortable with. And on the front, you also have a dedicated tablet sleeve, so this might have been a better spot than where I had it on the front. But if I have my laptop here, putting the tablet in is just a little bit too tight. But the tablet sleeve that they have here does offer, again, soft lining on both sides. It's a little bit more padded, so it does offer that protection, which is nice. And then on the front, you have a couple of additional pockets a pretty simple pocket here for something like a mouse or maybe your phone, and then some smaller slots for a pen or a stylus. And then you have a Velcro pocket that, will be great for securing anything that you don't want sliding out. Portable hard drive, mouse, cables. And then on one side of the bag, you have an additional zippered quick access pocket, which is going to be a good spot for storing maybe something like a power bank, your phone, documentation. Good amount of space here and very easy to reach. And on the other side, you have a really cool luggage tag that you can pull out. Kind of slides out. Level 8 has included their own blank tag, but I'm sure that you can change that out if you want to. But I really like how this is just built in. It's not something that can get caught on anything like some of the other luggage tags that I tend to use. And it's a clever system. You pull it out, see what you need, and then it slides back in. So absolutely love that. And moving into the main compartment, this does have a lockable zipper, which is great to see. And the bag actually includes a TSA approved lock. I have a couple of these, so I haven't actually opened the one that came with the suitcase, but great to have that for the additional peace of mind, especially since this doesn't have a built-in lock like many of Level 8's other bags. And then opening this up, one of my favorite things about this is that it does not open down the middle like so many of the hard shell rollers. Now, that layout has its benefits, but this was actually the way that I preferred to travel originally, because it reminds me almost of a backpack like the ones that I like to use that are clamshell style. It's just a big bucket of space and I can toss a ton of things in here. So that simplicity sometimes I feel makes it just way easier to pack stuff out. And with the 40 liters of capacity that are offered here, I was able to place a lot into this main area. Before diving into the loadout, you do have a compression strap here at the top to just kind of secure everything, keep everything in place. These each have a zippered pocket, which might be good for something like ties or socks or anything smaller that you want to keep separate. And then opening this up, first thing I'll mention here is you also have a clear liquids pouch that is included with the bag. It actually can zip on and off if you want to leave this at home, if you actually don't want to use it. But it's a nice pouch. This has got a very leak-proof feeling material for your liquids. This is the type of thing I might toss into like my personal items so that I could pull this out and have it go through TSA without any issues. And I like that you can actually attach it so you don't lose it. And diving into my current setup here, I have an air pouch that I use as a dop kit regularly. I have my Peak Design packing cube. This is one of their newer ones that they released as their updated travel line came out. It's got this interesting elastic fabric. And I have a few additional items here than what I typically pack, just because I had the space for it to show how much could fit into this main area. And so tucked away here in the corner, I have the Peak Design packable tote bag. And I have a Patagonia packing cube. I showed this one in a video not too long ago. This is one of the kind of clamshell opening cubes that have the two compartments. And then I also have an older compressible packing cube from Arkedo. I used to feature this in a lot of my videos. And behind that, I have my typical Peak Design setup. So I have the smaller compressible packing cube, and then I also have the larger compressible packing cube here. And all of those things fit in there very comfortably. I didn't even have to expand the bag out. So that was just the 40-liter capacity, and it didn't feel like it was completely explodingly stuffed, which is nice. And on the bottom here, you can see there's the handlebars that kind of poke through. This is very common, so I always try to fit maybe some socks or smaller items in between here if I'm actually traveling and getting everything, as packed away as I can. And in this compartment, you also have another zippered area. It's got a little bit of a gusset. I like that it has volume, so you can use this to separate out some of your socks and underwear, maybe your dirty clothes. If you want to keep it separate from the other items in your suitcase, you can do so. And if you don't want to use it, you can just kind of leave it out of the way. And then before moving on to the lid of this main area, I did want to showcase the expansion a little bit more clearly. You have a zipper that goes all the way around, and it gives you that extra space on the main side of the bag. So it's not on the lid that opens up. The expansion actually happens here in the main area. So that's nice to see. And then you have an additional zippered area on the flap. And I like that this actually has some volume. And you also have the mesh here so you can see what's on the inside. It'll also allow it to press down and get the air out. And so nice amount of space here. I actually am using it at the moment to hold a dry bag that has some sandals that I like to take with me, particularly if I'm going to a beach or something like that. I also tossed in my nomadic packable laundry basket. I don't always take this, but if I have extra space, it's a nice comfort when I'm in a hotel room or somewhere for a little bit longer. And with the amount of space that's offered here though, this would be a great spot to store a packable backpack, something like Tortuga's Day Pack or the Air Go Pack 2 would fit in here nicely. I believe that this may also be a good spot to store a suit if you want to fold up your jacket, or kind of put it here, keep it separate from the rest of the main area, compress it down. And so always a fan of having this secondary compartment in bags like this. So just really like this style of suitcase. It was nice to return to this after using so many of the hard shell rollers that split down the middle. This was previously the way that I preferred to travel. You lose maybe a little bit of the flexibility of having the two separate compartments like those bags have, but you trade that for simplicity, which just allows you to toss things in. You don't have to worry about what goes in each section. I had been very used to packing in this style, and I don't necessarily think one is better than the other, but I did want to present this as an alternative because these just don't feel as common nowadays, and I do think that they still offer a lot of value compared to the other layout. And then combined with that, the fact that this is able to expand and that it's a little bit softer, it's just going to give you that extra flexibility. And that's something that I like, that has been helpful to me in the past. Beyond that, I like the layout of this main area. I like that it includes the removable liquids bag. That's a really nice touch. And then it just does what a rolling suitcase like this needs to do well. Excellent wheels, solid handle, good build quality. And if you prefer more of a soft-sided roller and you're looking for something versatile and durable, then this is going to be a really interesting option to take a look at. And so to wrap up, it's been a great experience testing out the Capture Carry On suitcase over the past couple of weeks. You can currently purchase this on Level 8's site. It's going to come in at around $340, so definitely premium pricing on this one. Luggage prices vary quite wildly based off what I've seen. There's some that are in the thousands, some that come in at under $100, so there's a pretty wide gamut of pricing in this space. Now, this one is definitely an investment compared to even some of Level 8's other options. You are getting a very robust feature set. It's a durable bag. It's going to be really flexible and great to use, but there's going to be some other great options in this price range that may be worth considering. And so as I was testing this out, this definitely reminded me of some of the other great options from Level 8. I've had really good experiences with the roller bags that I've tried out so far. I've used their Roadrunner suitcase, which is a hard shell roller that also has a dedicated tech area, kind of like this one had. And that one just has the same reliable wheels, great build quality. It has, kind of the split opening, so you have the two segments to organize everything. Carry-on friendly. I've taken it on a number of international flights, and everything has gone smoothly. I've also tried out their aluminum Gibraltar suitcase, which feels really premium, luxurious, looks great. And that one's a little bit heavier coming in with the aluminum material, but just really cool to use. It also has the buckle style closure, not the zipper. And then I've also used one of their wide handle suitcases. I've done videos on all three of those if you want to check them out and get a little bit more detail. And if you're somebody who prefers a hard-sided roller versus something like this, then those are going to be great options to take a look at. Another item this made me think of is the Mystery Ranch Mission Wheelie, which I looked at on the channel pretty recently. That was an interesting option. That's kind of a hybrid duffel and roller bag. So it has the soft structure of a duffel bag. It's kind of a top-loading U-shaped opening. You can toss a bunch of stuff in there, but then you can also pull it as a roller bag. It's got a telescoping handle, some nice wheels. It doesn't have the four wheels like these rollers here, so you definitely have to pull it. But very rugged exterior fabric. It seemed pretty weather resistant, durable. It had the two kind of large quick access pockets. I really like the simple but effective layout that it had. And then of course the structure of the bag is what I really liked, is because of that flexibility. It seemed like something that you could squeeze into tighter spaces. They have it in a couple of different sizes. The 45 liter was the one that I looked at, which was the closest to being carry-on friendly. They have a 60 liter, 100 liter duffel as well that you can check in. So a couple of different options there. And if you like that style of bag and you're looking for something rugged that is going to work particularly well for kind of road trip travel, or for checking into an airline if you need a little bit more space, and that's going to be a great option to take a look at. And then the last option that I'll mention here is the Peak Design travel backpack. I had to mention at least one travel bag, as that is still my preferred way to travel whenever possible. And I recently took a look at the Coyote X-Pack release of the Peak Design travel backpack and just had a chance to revisit all the great functionality that that bag has. It's got Peak Design's typical sleek aesthetic, and it's got a flexible volume. You can expand it out if you need a little bit more space. You can compress it down if you don't want it to look quite as big. You have a lot of access points to the bag. You can get through it from the sides. You can open it clamshell style, so just a lot of flexibility. It pairs well with Peak Design's ecosystem of accessories. It's got a good laptop area, and then quick access pockets, compression straps that you can adjust to fit additional stuff that doesn't go inside of the bag. So just tons and tons of things included with the bag, and then just solid build quality. The harness system on that one, as I typically call out, is not my favorite of all the travel bags on the market, but kind of balances it out with all the functionality that you get. Great for just kind of getting to your destination. It does have the built-in waist belt to also give you some extra support, and so very, very great flexible option. And if you need a spacious travel backpack that's going to give you plenty of durability and flexibility, and that's going to be an excellent option to take a look at. With that being said, the Capture Carry On suitcase holds up really well against all those options, and if you're looking for a soft-sided roller that still has some of the modern touches that many of the popular hard shell options on the market have these days, and you want something reliable, durable, this is going to be an excellent option to take a look at. And I'm definitely curious to hear what you all think of the Capture Carry On suitcase and how it compares to some of the other popular roller bags that are currently on the market. And if there's any similar options that you think that I should check out, as always, please let me know in the comments. And I want to thank Level 8 for sending the bag for me to test out, and to you guys for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.